Grand Rapids car accident lawyer Tom Sinas, our sponsor, was here. He gave us a debrief of Michigan Auto no-fault insurance, focusing on selections for medical coverage and liability protection. Today, we're keeping on the topic and talking about an optional selection you have called uninsured, underinsured. Tom, thanks for being here once again to explain this to us.
You are welcome, and thank you for having me back.
Okay, let's first clarify, are these coverages optional or are they mandatory for drivers?
All right, they are optional but extremely important,
okay.
But they are not mandatory. Last week, as you mentioned, we talked about those types of coverages that are mandatory, meaning the ones that you have to have in order to legally operate a motor vehicle of your own, and those are liability and no fault. Absent from that list is what you also just mentioned today, uninsured and underinsured coverage, meaning no one is going to force you to buy these, but hopefully with discussions like this, people will understand why they are so critically important, and the good news to have to report is they are quite affordable.
Okay, so we are talking about two terms today, so let's clarify exactly what both of them mean. What is uninsured motorist coverage?
Okay, these are confusing terms, uninsured and underinsured. And they're really confusing, I think, because when people look at this, they think, well, I'm not uninsured. Why would I buy uninsured coverage? That doesn't make any sense. Or I'm not underinsured. I just bought a lot of insurance. Why would I buy this coverage? This is not insurance that you are buying to protect you for acts you commit. This is insurance that you're buying to protect you and your family against dangerous drivers that either have no insurance or too little insurance. It is the no insurance dangerous drivers that make up these uninsured motorist claims, uninsured. Think of it like this. You and I are in a crash. This would never happen, but let's just assume I had no insurance. That makes me an uninsured motorist. But what if I harm you? Well, you may want to pursue a claim against me, but I have no insurance. If you purchased uninsured motorist coverage, the coverage that you purchased will stand in the place of the coverage that I didn't have. This is also critically important in this phenomenon that just seems to be persistent, which is hit and runs. If you're hit by a hit and run driver and that person flees, you don't know who they are. So therefore, you don't know whether they had any insurance. Hit and run accidents are accidents involving uninsured motorists because you don't know who they are. Well, you may have been seriously hurt by that hit and run driver, and the only way that you're going to provide you and your family a financial resource as a substitute for the claim against the person who took off is if you purchased uninsured motorist coverage.
So then what is underinsured motorist coverage cover?
Okay, underinsured motorist coverage is coverage, again, that you buy to protect you and your family from dangerous drivers who have too little insurance. Remember last segment we talked about liability insurance and people can choose all these different levels? Well, again, suppose, this would never happen, but suppose I caused a crash, seriously hurt you, and I only had this $50,000 in liability coverage, but you have a significant claim because of the nature of your injuries. Well, you may only be able to get $50,000 from my liability insurance, but if you purchased underinsured motorist coverage, the coverage beyond $50,000 up to whatever you purchased, let's say you purchased $500,000, well, you get the first $50 from me and the remaining $450 from your own insurance company in the form of underinsured motorist coverage. So the common theme between these two forms of coverage is it's ways to protect you against dangerous drivers who either, one, have no insurance or have too little insurance. And the irony, of course, is that dangerous drivers are also the most likely to have either no insurance or too little insurance. And that's why this coverage is so important. And as I mentioned before, good news is it's very affordable.
Okay, so now that we know what these two terms mean and how they differ, what do you suggest that everyday motorists like myself purchase for ourselves?
I suggest you purchase as much uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage as your carrier will sell you, as your insurance company will sell you. Call your insurance agent or go online. First, look, do you have uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage? Because it's optional. Many people don't. If you do, ask. Okay, it's $250,000. What's it going to cost to make it $500,000 or $1 million? I think you'll be surprised, and you will have this little additional peace of mind of knowing that even though we cannot protect our families from these horrible events, we can do a little something along the way to maybe minimize some of the financial impact if that happens. And if you make that decision, you might find that it costs you less than a couple of lattes, and you will sleep better at night.
I know what I'm doing after this. I'm going to look at my insurance policy because I don't know if I have this purchase. So, okay, if I've got questions, if I need to talk to you guys, how do I reach out?
You can find us online, www.sinusdramus.com. Our phone number in West Michigan is 616-301-3333.
All right, Tom, as always, thank you for stopping by and filling us in on this.
Thank you for having me.
And this segment is sponsored by Sinas Dramus Law Firm. We'll be right back with more 8 West. Don't go away.